Even though the vast majority of Americans want common sense gun control laws, Congress is doing very little to address that. Tonight, we debate. And we will also be speaking to somebody from the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence, and she'll tell us why she is optimistic this time around something could actually get done. Then we take a look at some New York stories, including whether or not Governor Cuomo could make a run for the White House and whether some high-profile corruption trials set for next year could impact his re-election campaign. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thank you for joining me this Thursday evening. Well, the investigation continues into the mass shooting in Las Vegas, but still no motive. But we are learning more about the gunman and what he was doing before the massacre. A chilling view from above the scene in Las Vegas where 58 innocent people were murdered Sunday at a country music festival. As investigators now question whether the gunman who shot down at his victims from these hotel windows may have first tried to target other large events. Sources saying in August, he booked hotel rooms in Chicago with a view of the Lollapalooza festival. He also searched for rooms near Boston's Fenway Park.
Because it's an ongoing investigation, I'm not going to speak any more to it than that.
Officials also confirming that he rented a room in this Las Vegas condo overlooking a music festival just a week before the massacre. And investigators now say Paddock may not have acted alone.
You got to make the assumption he had to have some help at some point.
His girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, now a person of interest. She is cooperating with the FBI and says she knew nothing about the plans. But now, an official briefed on the investigation says Paddock was seen with a different woman in the days leading up to the attack. They're now trying to figure out who she is and whether she knows anything about what led to the rampage that also left 487 people injured. Among them, Jesus Campos, the security guard, the first to approach Paddock's hotel room, the gunman shooting him through the door. As I said, we will have a conversation this evening on guns, even if the president says it is not the time. We're going to talk to the folks at the Brady Center and ask why, even with all this carnage, if anything really is going to change, even with a national public that is overwhelmingly saying that they want and even expect Washington to act. We'll also talk to our panel and try to figure out a way forward. But all of our conversations and millions more around the dinner tables, the water coolers at the office, and heaven forbid the floor of Congress will of course be lacking the one participant who does have the bully pulpit. Now, if you step back and just for a moment table any animus or for that matter blind support you have for this president and just consider how he spends his political capital and platform. And I think regardless of who you voted for last November, you have to say the man is Captain Chaos. Now, take me out of this equation. I've been a constant critic, and you'd be fair in saying that. But how about Trump's own Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, who after seeing his boss turn a Boy Scout jamboree into a political rally complete with bragging about election totals and infantile score settling, he called him an effing moron? Well, yesterday, Tillerson did the equivalent of a hostage video and said he was with the Donald. But notably, when given the opportunity and asked if in fact he said those comments, he did not deny his colorful characterization of our commander-in-chief. Now, if you needed confirmation that this is not some singular held perception within Republican ranks, I want you to take a listen to a respected GOP Senator, Bob Corker from Tennessee.
I think Secretary Tillerson, Secretary Mattis, and Chief of Staff Kelly are those people that help separate our country from chaos.
Now just think for a second. What we know they're trying to have him not do, I'm talking about the president, let alone all the things behind the scenes that thankfully never even come into the public eye. Be afraid, be very afraid. Our president, in 9 months, he's managed to divide an already polarized nation into even greater fault lines. Racially, most recently punctuated by Charlottesville. Ethnically, with DACA and all those rapists and murderers from south of the border, and don't forget about our friends in Puerto Rico. And religiously, with the travel bans and general condemnation of the Muslim faith. Now, the list of offendees, trust me, it goes far longer, but this is only an hour show, so I'm going to move on to just one more group. It's a group I know well. I'm talking about the media. After yet another bruising news cycle showing dissension in his clown car of a cabinet here, with sourcing coming directly from his own administration staffers, our president decided to, what else but tweet, that not only was the Fourth Estate not to be believed, we were to be investigated. Quote, "Why isn't the Senate Intelligence Committee looking into fake news networks in our country, to see why so much of our news is just made up fake?" Now, forget for the moment, because we grade on such a curve here, this president, the chilling assault on the First Amendment that our own president seems to be suggesting here. But may I state the obvious? Pot, say hi to kettle. First off, both NBC and CNN stand by their reporting of Tillerson's outburst, and as I mentioned, he didn't even deny saying it. Secondly, if the president wants to get into a fake news debate, he better think twice. The Washington Post is reporting today that we crossed a landmark of sorts. Since taking office and lying about the crowd size, I just had to say that, Donald Trump has made 1,000 falsehoods and misleading claims. Yet he claims he's the victim of unsubstantiated attacks and he is the paragon of virtue. Yeah, right. Now, this all brings me full circle to his hidden and sudden reserve here when it is talking about the massacre in Las Vegas. Let me remind you when he hasn't been so circumspect. In Orlando, he didn't wait for the facts because an unhinged Muslim was the trigger man. In London, he didn't wait. He even made up facts about the shooter because, again, he was a terrorist. He's always been reckless with the facts and allegations. Hey, if you're from New York, you'd remember he would have executed the Central Park Five, even though it turned out those 5 people were innocent. Obama, remember, under the president, wasn't even an American citizen. The lies, they go on and on and on. It's a career's worth here. But pause in our president have happened twice in the last 9+ months, after Charlottesville and after Las Vegas. And I'll let you draw your own conclusions as to why. What I will say in closing is this. There will be times when every president has to rally the nation, whether it be in times of attack, natural disaster, or tragedy. You have a president here throwing paper towels and shooting 3-pointers with toilet paper to people suffering, Americans suffering in disaster. So for the first time in my life, I'd rather this president just say nothing at all. All right, coming up next, we'll bring in our panel. Is Congress finally ready to deal with gun trouble? It's possible Washington is ready to take some baby steps. We'll explain and discuss after this.